Welcome to Tech Talk, y'all.
Hello, and welcome to Tech Talk, y'all, episode 377. I'm Sanjay Park, and I am joined by a guest host this week, Joe Casabona. Welcome to the show, Joe.
Thanks so much. I'm so excited to be here.
So Adam is away. It's actually spring break this week, so he's away. So I've got a much better fill-in than Adam. Don't tell him that I said that here with Joe. So I think we've got a lot of fun stories this week. We've got a bunch of weird and wacky, but let's get right into it because it is a bunch of crazy stuff. First up, Apple customers dash to stores to buy iPhones ahead of tariffs. Have you dashed to the store to buy a new iPhone yet?
No, I'm one of those suckers in the iPhone upgrade program. And so depending on how, this is a fluid situation, things could change in
Right.
any moment. But if things stay the way they are, I might be sticking with my iPhone 16 Pro, which is not a huge deal to me.
So I can't remember any of these numbers. 16 is from what year?
That's the latest. This is why I'm a sucker, because I pay basically a subscription to get the new one every year.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder if that, so it'll be interesting to see if the tariffs go into place, like the subscription costs, I imagine, are going to go up.
Yeah. The way it works, right, is that it's not like really a subscription. It's they let you like subsidize the price of the phone over 2 years.
Right.
But in the program, they let you upgrade every 1 year and then you send the old phone back to them. So it's like, it feels like a subscription because I've never fully paid off a phone. But
Right.
what I always did, because I always want the latest like the best camera, right?
Right.
And the best battery life, is I would buy the phone outright and then sell it and buy the new one.
Right.
Or buy the new one and then sell it, hoping someone buys it. And like with the iPhone upgrade program, I just don't have to worry about that part. And
Right.
so I suspect if the price goes up, my monthly price will also go up.
Yeah. Is there any like caveats on that? Like if the phone gets damaged, the screen's cracked, like you have to pay for that. Like what happens then?
Yeah. So it automatically comes with Apple Care Plus, right? Which is like the highest version of it, where it's like if it's cracked or lost or stolen. And yeah, if there's like a crack on the body or a shattered screen or something, you have to pay like $100 to get that fixed.
Okay.
So, which is like, I would do that at like, I don't understand how people can use their phones with a crack in the screen. I would immediately have to get it fixed. Like I can't. So
Yeah. So
I would do that anyway.
Along those lines, I don't know if you use any of these things, but I've always used a screen protector and a case on my phones. And I'll tell you, in all the years that I've had a smartphone, knock on wood, I've never cracked a screen. Never. Not once.
Yeah. I used to not have a case because I like it to be as thin as
size,
possible.
Right. Yeah, I get it.
Right. Kids change that. The first time I ever cracked a screen, I said to my coworker earlier that day, I don't understand how people break their phones all the time. I never use a case and it's fine. And my then girlfriend, now wife, she had like a dumb phone, but she needed GPS. So I let her borrow my phone and she dropped it getting out of her car and it just shattered. She's like, don't be mad. I'm like, it was early enough in our relationship that I was like, that's why I have insurance on the phone.
The phone gods came at you for speaking ill of other people.
I know. I mean, everyone agreed it was my fault, right? Like I said something.
Definitely.
Yeah.
definitely it was yours. Talking about the next story, you want to hit that one?
Yeah. So Apple airlifts 600 tons of iPhones from India to beat Trump's tariffs. Yeah. So I think that this was probably something that we could have predicted. I think Tim Cook has buddied up to Donald Trump, not because he likes Donald Trump, but because he's trying to sway him into not doing these tariffs. And so they probably had a contingency plan.
Yeah. So this was fascinating to me. So reading the story, I'm like, I don't know how many phones is 600 tons worth of phones. So they did the math in there. Like, I don't think of phones in tons metric numbers. So it's like, I think it was like 1.5 million phones. And so if you consider that they basically avoided a couple $100 worth of tariffs on this, that's like what, 100, 200, $300 million worth of savings then at that point. So yeah, probably worthwhile doing. This was 6 cargo planes worth of iPhones that they flew. Conceivably, those flights cost a lot less than a couple $100 million. So this was a no brainer for them to do. And I wonder, obviously, like a lot of focus is on Apple and iPhones, but I wonder how many other companies are doing this kind of stuff right now to get assets in place so that they don't have to, worry about the cost. Or conceivably what Apple's probably going to end up doing is just raise the price of these phones, even if they're not actually paying the tariff, and then pocket that extra profit.
Yeah, I imagine, right? So I was listening to Upgrade about this from Relay FM and or from Relay. They rebranded. And Jason Snell, who's like been in the Apple space for a long time, said like, hey, Apple's margins on these are so big that they might just decide to eat some of that cost, but Apple doesn't like eating a lot of cost. So what I could see is them raising prices across the board, but not raising the price of the latest phone as much, because that'll be subsidized by the non-tariff affected phones. Like they might play some of those games. Also, who knows, right? By the time September rolls around, the tariffs could be gone or higher or something, right? I'm sure. So
they could be zero or to the moon at that point.
Right.
Like, there's no telling.
Exactly. Right. So, I mean, things have changed 3 times, like since you put this story in the document. So who knows how many more times they'll change over the summer.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, Apple has a bunch of people I've heard that are on things like subscriptions, and they just get new phones anyways. And then I guess they don't really care about any of that stuff. So those people are just going to buy phones regardless. So there you go, Joe.
As long as it doesn't like double my monthly price, I'm like, if it's like a few extra bucks each month, I'm probably going to roll with it.
There you go.
I like the latest phone. I like having the best camera.
Well, you probably just told Apple right there what they're gonna
what they can expect.
What they can expect.
I didn't buy the Vision Pro. I'm not in that caliber of Apple customer. Maybe like the one right below it.
You're not the super crazy. You're just one notch below.
It has to be useful to me.
There you go. Talking about something that's useful, the rise of Frankenstein laptops in New Delhi's repair markets. This was a fascinating story to me because we have talked on the show many, many times about right to repair, and kind of DIY stuff. And the next story we're going to talk about in a minute is about Framework, which is around that stuff. But this is interesting because these folks are picking through and finding parts that are being thrown away that are still perfectly good and basically piecing together new laptops. So a question for you, Joe, do you ever actually crack open your machines? Do you repair them yourselves? Do you repair anything yourself?
I used to when I was a Windows guy, right? I built my own PCs and stuff like that. Since moving to Apple, I mean, they make it, I don't want to say unreasonably hard, but like unreasonably hard to do that, right?
Right.
So I haven't done it in a very long time. I don't have any skills in the real world. Like I can't build things. Like we're redoing our fence this weekend, but like my father-in-law is going to be there and I'm just going to be like a blank slate and he's just going to tell me what to do. So I did build stuff for a while. And like if it's repairable, I'll do it. But like most of my stuff is in the Apple ecosystem and they don't really want you to do that.
Yeah. Well, that is hopefully changing a little bit by little bit, with more of these right to repair laws kind of coming into place. I think I am a huge fan of them because I think, it's a shame when you have to just basically throw away an entire machine because you want a new thing and you can't just upgrade pieces of it. But, hit the next story there and we'll talk about that.
Yeah. So, Framework stopped selling some stuff. I love this headline. Some stuff of its Framework stops selling some of its laptops in the US due to tariffs. So, fun fact, this is paywalled for me, so I can only read the TLDR.
Well, here's the long version of it. So Framework, a company that I love dearly. I actually have one of their laptops. One of my kids also has a Framework laptop. In case you don't know, Framework is a company where the whole idea is right to repair. You can actually open it all up. You could buy a DIY build it kit version of the laptop yourself. And here's the little secret there. It saves you a couple $100. It's not a lot of work to do. I mean, it took me literally 5 minutes to put the whole thing together because it's mostly assembled as it is. But you can replace the main board. You can replace the screen. You can even replace the webcam that's above the laptop. They just released a newer version with a higher quality camera. And you can actually just replace that one piece because it works across whatever laptop. $29 to upgrade your webcam. Like if you were doing that on a regular laptop, you're basically buying a new laptop.
Right. Yeah. Right. You can upgrade RAM and stuff like that.
Right.
On most
but not a webcam.
laptops.
That's weird. Right.
Yeah.
Which is why this is awesome. So because they just announced a bunch of new laptops, but because of the tariffs, they were like, we're not going to be able to sell some of these in the US. But since this article has gone in the show notes, that has already changed because of the pause on the tariffs. And so then now they have opened up pre-orders, but I suspect that's only going to be for a short window. So, if you're interested in getting this, they've just announced and released or announced and starting pre-orders of a 12-inch touch screen tablet so that it flips over. And then there's also a PC, a desktop PC that they've released. I haven't heard if they've paused that because of the tariffs. But all of them are fantastic. I've not used the desktop yet, but I think as a company, I'm a huge fan. And so we'll see where this goes with all the tariffs and what they end up having to do. But if you're looking for a new laptop that's not in the Apple ecosystem, give this a look.
Talking 12 inches. 12 inches is a really nice size for a laptop.
It is. And so the screen flips over and it becomes like a tablet. So it's
$600, you know,
it is very, very enticing. And then knowing that you'll be able to buy parts and replace them yourself. Yeah. You don't have to buy, like I used to, for a long time, I was a Dell laptop guy and I would always buy I don't know what it's called there, Dell insurance essentially. Right. And I thought theirs was actually way better than Apple's in that if I ever had a problem, they would send a person to me wherever I was. Sometimes I would meet them at a Starbucks. Sometimes I would have them come to my home, sometimes an office, whatever. And they would bring the parts with them and they would sit there and fix my computer and then give it back to me. I didn't have to go stand in line anywhere. I didn't have to go talk to a supposed genius anywhere.
Yeah. I was just going to say there's not the hubris of genius. You're just meeting in a coffee. That's nice.
Nothing like that. And I got to meet all kinds of interesting people that did this repair work. Like, folks that, did other things on the side and we talk about that and whatever. So super, super fascinating. And so
can I add one more note on this? Cause this reminded me of something called phone blocks. I don't know if you remember this, but there was also Project Aura. They were both like 2013. I talked about it when I taught a computer literacy class at the University of Scranton, but this was like modular cell phone. They'd basically give you the screen and the back was like Lego blocks that you put together. And I'm really sad because I was still in Android Army at that time. I was really sad that never came to fruition because I thought that was just like such a brilliant thing.
Well, the one that I really want is the Fairphone. That's an Android-based phone that's out of Europe. They do not sell it here in the US. I think actually there are some distributors, but you can't get full support here in the US yet. I'm sure these tariffs are going to make that even longer and more painful to support that. But personally, I would love that. Their whole motto is for your phone to last at least 5 years. But you can replace the camera in there. You can replace the battery. You can replace all the things, which honestly, would be great for me. I'm right now rocking a Samsung S20. So that's 5 years old now at this point.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It's still fine. I've had one app that I tried to load up. I think it was, and this is probably a good reason why I didn't load up. It was Netflix's version of Civilization. I think like 6 or something like that. Yeah. And it was like, no, this won't work on your phone. I was like, well, That's probably a good thing because I would have sucked a lot of time into playing Civilization. Were you a Civilization fan? Did you play that game?
I was more World of Warcraft
I see. Okay.
guy. Yeah.
I
Balacho
played World
recently.
of Warcraft too. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was a good game too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So moving on, No Fakes Act reintroduced in Congress with support from Google, RIAA, and more. So basically, trying to support creators and not duplicating their voices and I guess them, and protecting these content creators. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a good thing, especially in an age where now we talked a little bit about wading into these waters, but in an age where Congress isn't really doing its job, it's nice to see something happening on the Hill.
Yeah.
And I mean, I just think this is the first time I think I read RIAA in a headline and had a good feeling about it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, we've seen the stories of companies, like wrongfully using like MKBHD's image and likeness. I had a contract from a brand last year with a clause in there, like not using AI. It was very cleverly worded, but basically they could use the content that I made for them as an influencer to train something and use that. And I'm like, no, I can't. I'm not agreeing to that. So, I really like to see something like this. It's nice to see that the government is reacting in a relatively short time frame to something like this, and that it does have the backing of big media companies.
Yeah, what's interesting is a couple of weeks ago we talked about a UK law where it was basically going to have everybody that creates content automatically be opted in to allowing their content to be used for AI kind of training. And there was obviously an uproar there because that's not okay. It should not be an opt-out system. It should be an opt-in system. So if you want your stuff trained, then you opt into it, and hopefully get compensated for it. Next up, go ahead, Joe.
Yes. Sorry, I was stuck on this story. Okay. Notice of data breach, Blue Shield of California, notifying certain members of potential data breach that may have included elements of protected health information.
So this is not actually a story, but it's actually a notice from the Blue Cross Blue Shield of California.
Yeah.
The reason why I found this so interesting is the breach happened because somebody set up Google Analytics wrong and was passing data into Google Ads, and it was including people's names and health information. And so I think this highlights how easy it is to do these things wrong and hook these things up in a way that just spreads everybody's data everywhere. I mean, look, all of our data is already probably accessible somewhere else at this point already, right? After the Experian breaches and so many other breaches, there's nothing private about me and you or anybody else at this point. But I don't know. I think this highlights, like, you got to be careful with technology, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're both, I'm less in the tech field now than I was like 5 years ago, but we would always say the biggest technical security risk is humans, right? And we would try really hard to train our employees on proper etiquette and password management and stuff. And, this is presumably a tech savvy person if they're banging around on a website, and they probably just did it. Oh, I've done this a million times. Click.
Yeah, right? just connect it all up. It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all
copy the thing.
Fine. It's
done.
All fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Talking about something that's all connected up or might want to be a blast from the past. Rebooted Digg launches early access community with $5 fee. And I will note that the $5 fee, they say, is all of it is going to go to a nonprofit that the community decides. But do you remember Digg, Joe?
Yeah. I was, let's see. For people to level set here, I graduated high school in 2003. And so, yeah, Digg was like a big dorm room thing in 2006. I remember when it came, it seems like it comes back every 10 years, right? It's like Michael Jordan, coming back. And I mean, this is interesting, right? Because I don't know if you know the app Photo, Photo.
I don't know Photo.
So they basically build themselves as like a non-algorithmic Instagram where you can post photos and see photos of people you see. Only pictures, no video or anything like that. And they have a private beta, but it costs $5 to get in to kind of support development. So that's immediately thought of, super interesting.
Huh.
I don't know where Dig fits in the landscape of 2025. You know, maybe they'll get Yahoo to use Yahoo AI as summaries like Google's using for Reddit or something. So.
Yeah. So what's interesting is Kevin Rose, who was one of the original founders of Dig, is back involved in this, as is Alexis Ohanian, who was one of the co-founders of Reddit. Oftentimes on TV known as Serena Williams' husband, but in our tech circles, actually known as Alexis Ohanian, and happens to also be married to Serena Williams. I
didn't know that. That's so funny.
You didn't know they were married?
I did not know they were married.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
It's funny. Like a lot of times you'll see him on TV, and like these people on TV have no idea who he is. Yeah. Sometimes they'll be like, yeah, he's like a tech person, has done some things. Like, I think
quick aside,
yeah,
like that is a funny pairing, right? Because in tech circles, I'm like, oh, I love baseball, and people are like, oh, I don't sports ball, and I'm like, cool, that's a weird reaction. So it's funny to see that sports people do the same thing to tech people.
yeah. Well, this is the commentators on TV that know, zero about tech, right? And don't know who anybody is. Like, probably if you put Jeff Bezos in front of them, they're like, who's this dude?
Right. Yeah.
So yeah.
Lex Luthor.
Is this Lex Luthor? So it's interesting. I will be interested to see if Dig can get back to those days. Like, I'm sure you probably remember, like, Slashdot used to be a thing. And when you got on there, you got Slashdot and your site would crash. Dig was also a thing. You got digged. Yep. And then your site went down, and then for a while it was Hacker News, Y Combinator's Hacker News. If you got on the front page there, then your site's probably going to go down. You see that less and less nowadays, thanks to services like Cloudflare and things like that. But we'll see if Dig gets to that same point again. It'll be interesting. I think it'd be a good thing if we have yet another outlet that really kind of surfaces interesting news and is really community focused. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. It's I'd love to see something less algorithmically, like less dopamine hit algorithmically driven, if that makes sense.
Yep.
The Weird and Wacky segment.
Abominable Snowman.
He's not an axe murderer.
One of the TAs turned out to be a bot.
Okay, it's Weird and Wacky time. What's up first, Joe?
The city said it would take 3 years to install a speed bump, so I bought my own on the internet. What a headline. Published a little too close to April Fool's Day for my liking.
First of all, I should have assumed it, but I never even thought that you could buy a speed bump on Amazon, but you can buy a speed bump on Amazon apparently.
Yeah.
So this guy, there was an intersection near him in San Francisco that was apparently one of the most dangerous, and everybody knew it and the city knew it. And yet it was going to take years for them to install a speed bump. So instead he surreptitiously installed his own, and it clearly helped. He did not leave it there because of liability issues and things like that. But, I kind of like the guerrilla tactic here. Like, I don't know. I wonder if he could actually install it and then just not say anything and be like, I don't know who installed it.
Yeah, right. I mean, like, ask forgiveness, not permission, but also like somebody would have to complain, right? I mean, this is the thing about all of this stuff, right? Like, laws are only laws because people want to enforce them, and somebody would have to be mad about the speed bump and then complain and then figure it out and then have it removed.
Yeah, but crazy. Talk about something that nobody is going to complain about. Middle-aged man trading cards go viral in rural Japan town. This is hilarious, and I kind of want to do this for Atlanta and make a set of trading cards. So basically the gist is they started making these cards with the pictures. Think like Pokemon Go, or not Pokemon, the trading game cards, like or Magic or one of these trading card games, and pictures of people that are actually in the town. like a retired firefighter, and he had like all these like points and stuff like that. And really, they originally just did it to get these kids engaged in civic life and things like that. But then they actually started playing a game out of it because they had all these powers and stuff like that. And then asking for autographs from some of these people on these cards as well. What do you think, Joe? Is there a future Joe Casabona playing card in the works here?
I mean, if my wife was here, she would say that my ego doesn't need any of that. But I mean, I think this is so cool. I see the one quote here. We wanted to strengthen the connection between the children and the older generation. I'm the president of my kids' home and school association. So basically like the PTA. And community is something I've been thinking about a lot. I just read The Anxious Generation, and I feel like parents my age, again, I'm going to be 40 this year, are concerned about this breakdown in community because kids are spending more time online. And let's be honest, adults are also spending more time online. And I think this is such a clever way to build that community. That's super cool.
Yeah, it's super interesting. I don't know if it would work here in the US. I mean, obviously, Japan is the place where a lot of these trading card games have started. And so that's why it kind of took off there. But I think it's interesting. And so, yeah, might have to think about that. Maybe we can make some trading cards of our own for something. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen them at, some word camps and other tech conferences will do like speaker trading cards, and you got to try to get all the speakers before the end of the conference. And
love it.
I think that's a really clever, man. It's like making stuff now is obnoxiously easy.
Right.
Like imagine somebody being like, oh, we just made a bespoke trading card game like 20 years ago. They'd be like, how expensive was that? Now it's just like, oh, I thought about it and I 3D printed the thing that makes the cards or whatever. Exactly. That was very like drunk uncle of me, but it was
there you go. And last up, go ahead, Joe.
Yes. So I like this story. Remember public phones, the Masters still offers old school devices as an alternative to cell phones. I like this.
I had no idea, first of all, and I kind of love this, that cell phones are not allowed at the Masters. So you cannot even bring them into the venue. You have to leave them outside. And so if you want to make a call, they actually have a bank of phones, not rotary phones. They are push button phones, but you have to then know phone numbers. So I got to ask you, Joe, how many phone numbers do you know right now off the top of your head?
I know my wife's, at least two of my brothers, and at least one of my parents. I think that's it.
I think I know like 3, maybe 4 phone numbers, and that's about it. It's a lot of reliance on the phone.
My wife's is the only one I've learned in like the last 10 years or whatever, right? Yeah. Like my brother, like I've had my cell phone since 1999 and I've had the same number.
Yeah.
All that time. And it's about the same for my brothers and my parents. So like you actually had to memorize phone numbers in the 90s and early 2000s. Right. And so that's why I know those. I like had to make a point to like when my oldest had to know our phone numbers, I had to like make a point to memorize my wife's because I couldn't remember it.
I gotta say, so my kids both are older and they have cell phones. I don't know their cell phone numbers. Like it's in the phone, and that's probably a problem because anything happens to that phone and I'm in trouble.
Right. That's like, I'm always like, well, there's some device I can access with their number on it, but like, I don't know, what if my phone dies and my watch dies and I don't have my laptop on me or something, right? Then it's like, oh, I wish I knew. I'll try to figure out based on my number.
Let me just call 0 and maybe they'll know. Yeah. Can you connect me to my house?
Yeah. What's your address? I don't know. I always put it in the GPS.
I don't know. Yeah.
Tech wreck. Time to get your tech wreck. Tech wreck. Chicky. Tech wreck. Time to get your tech wreck.
Okay, Joe, it is tech wreck time. I'm going to let you go first. What do you got for us this week?
I'm recommending the Brick, getbrick.app. If you haven't heard of this, it is a physical device. All right. We've had a few stories about our reliance on technology and my anxiety around it. The Brick is a magnet. So I stick it to my fridge. You physically scan it and it works with its app on the phone to lock you out of other apps. and then you can't access those apps again until you physically scan
Huh.
the brick. So people are like, well, you're home, right? So can't you just, here's what I'll do usually. If I'm going out to the park or something with my kids, I will scan the brick before I leave the house. And then I can't access email or whatever other I don't have any social media apps on my phone, like email, chat, anything that will distract me from my children, I cannot access while I'm outside of the house.
Huh. That's interesting. Do you lock yourself out of, I don't know, whatever the app is to install new apps so that you can't, install a new
the
email
app store?
Yeah.
So the cool thing about the app is the Brick app is like you can either you can have an allow list or a block list. And so I use the allow list. So I'm like, only allow me to access these specific apps.
Got it.
And it's like texting the phone and stuff like that.
Right.
But yeah, like that, I've combined that with scheduled summary, like an iOS feature, to really like reduce my usage of my phone, because scheduled summary only shows me notifications at certain times.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah. That's actually an interesting use, because once you leave the house, you don't have access to the thing to unlock the phone. Yeah. And so
I think you get 5 emergency unbricks. So like, and I don't know if that's per month or ever. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to blow one to see what happens. Right. And even if you restart the phone, it doesn't unbrick, which is cool. Cause that was always a workaround with like focus modes and stuff like that, or like some other apps. Yeah, super. It's like $50 if you buy one, I think. And I'm probably going to get a couple more, like one for my car if I go to the coffee shop or something or whatever. But it's really good. If you're not close to the device, you cannot use specific apps.
There you go. There you go. That's awesome. Well, this week I've got something that's totally unrelated to what you just recommended. It's the Environmental Working Group's Tap Water Database. This is a recommendation that I'm sure producer Shannon from a long time ago and who was just recently on the show as well as a guest host would appreciate. So the Environmental Working Group has this database. You can go in there and type in your zip code and then what your water utility is, and they will tell you the kind of things that the water that's coming to you likely has, and maybe outside of limits of what they recommend. So it's a great tool if you're thinking about using a water filter in the house, either a whole house water filter or a point of use water filter, to make sure that you're buying something that deals with the things that are coming in the pipe. So super helpful to me. We already had a whole house water filter installed, but I looked at it and I was like, oh, that's good to know, because I think my water filter deals with all of those things that my water utility is maybe a little bit lax on.
I saw this in the notes and I used it, and I'm like terrified at what's in I shared it with my brother, and he told me about the HydroViv, which is like a water filter specifically made for air locales. So you could put your zip code in and they'll recommend a water filter that helps filter all the stuff that you find on this database.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. I'll do one shout out. We did a whole house water filter, Springwell water filters. So they're not cheap because you're doing the whole house. But I've recently done some water testing. I'm actually waiting for results to come back. It's actually another recommendation from producer Shannon, and it might be a tech rec in the future. But it seems like I actually tested the house water for chlorine. Like they had a little dipstick thing. And so chlorine naturally comes to you from the water treatment facility to make sure that no bacteria grows, obviously, in the pipes. But after my water filter, there is no chlorine in the water, which I don't know, probably a good thing to not be drinking chlorine, actually. You know, that's like the bleachy stuff. So whenever your water smells like bleach, that's because there's too much chlorine in there. So that's
why
interesting. The pool smells like that too, because that's what they use a lot of times as well. Yeah. Well, Joe, this has been a great episode. Tell our listeners where they can find and connect with you online.
You can find me over at casabona.org. That's the best place to find me. I'm very sparse on social networks now, but maybe LinkedIn is the best place. So, but casabona.org is where you can find my everything.
do, do.